States with the British aristocracy? I don't know. Maybe we could debate that with Seton Motley. The bad Republican Senator Orrin Hatch, in an interview yesterday, Hatch weighed in on the Egypt uprising, throwing his weight behind the dictator, saying, I know President Mubarak personally. He's been a friend of America. I feel sad he's going through this. Senator, he may be your friend, but for 3 decades he ruled Egypt with an iron fist, torturing and murdering people. As the old saying goes, with friends like that, who needs enemies? And the very, very ugly Texas Tea Partier Phillip Dennis. On MSNBC yesterday, Dennis went after Islam, and of course, like most Tea Partiers, drew a connection between the religion and President Obama. He said, I have a big problem with Islam. They call it a religion of peace, when every day around the world it continues to show itself to be anything but. So it's understandable that people might have a problem with our president being a Muslim. Right. Combining Islamophobia in America with an attack on the president. How long are these guys going to keep this up for? I mean, this is very, very ugly. Seton Motley is with us.
Speaking of ugly.
President of
lessgovernment.org.
And for some reason,
I'm like a vampire. The camera doesn't pick me up.
This is so strange. My switcher just didn't switch. Anyhow, Seton Motley is with us, with the president of lessgovernment.org.
Yes, listen, I want to go on the record and say I do not think Barack Obama is a Muslim. I would very much like to discuss at length the 20 years he spent with Jeremiah Wright.
Okay.
I think that's a perfectly...
the fact of the matter is that most of those 20 years he didn't go to church.
No, he
was at the time he was roundly criticized for showing up for Easter and Christmas, maybe once or twice a month.
He went there enough to choose him to marry him and Michelle.
Yeah.
He chose him to.
Well, he chose him
to baptize their children.
He called him his
spiritual advisor and his mentor.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a relationship there, and
Okay.
Jeremiah Wright is a jackass.
So Jeremiah Wright's famous
comments, plural.
Okay,
plural.
Fine. The essence of all of them was that America has not treated black people all that well all these years.
He's a liberation theologist.
What does that mean?
It was invented in
No, I know what it is. What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me?
Yeah.
It's communism with a collar.
Oh, come on.
It absolutely is. It was invented.
People should be free of tyranny?
No, it was invented so that communism could undermine the role of the church in America.
It was liberation theology came out of the Catholic Church, and it came out of trying to overthrow repressive, generally U.S.-backed
in South America in 1954,
and South America in Honduras. Yes.
Yeah, it was to undermine
and by the Catholic Church.
No, it was fake Catholic Church. It was fake Catholicism.
Those people died. I've personally been down in Medellin at a monastery where all the priests and nuns were murdered. I mean, liberation theology.
But I don't consider anything uplifting that Jeremiah Wright has to offer. He is an angry, hateful, racist man. He hates Jews vociferously.
I can't defend any of his anti-Semitic remarks, but let's move on.
Let's not use Semitic because I love because Arabs are Semitic too.
You're right. Actually, you're right.
Hey, mark that tape, will you?
I don't know his position. I don't know his position on the Arabs. Okay, so what are you doing here at CPAC, Seton?
Is this CPAC? Oh, is this where we are?
Yeah. You're surrounded by 5,000 or 6,000 conservatives.
It's actually about 11, but
really,
yeah.
Wow, it was 6,000.
11, not 11,000.
You must be in hog heaven.
Well, yeah, it's very, very nice. The mood. This is my third, and the mood has gotten demonstrably better each year because the first year was 2009, right after Barack Obama got elected. 2010 was very happy on a small scale because the Republicans had just won the governorships in New Jersey and Virginia, and
I was
the Massachusetts senator.
This is, I think, either my 5th or 6th year here, and I was here the last year of the Bush administration, and they introduced John Yoo.
Yes.
To the crowd. John Yoo and Bob Barr had a debate in the big ballroom.
Yes.
And it was the big event, right? I was there. They introduced John Yoo as a professor of law from Berkeley, California, University of California, Berkeley. The crowd booed.
Right.
They didn't have any idea who John Yoo was.
Right, they just heard Berkeley.
Right. Then they introduced Bob Barr.
By the way, a reasonable response, but go ahead.
Then they introduced Bob Barr as the former Republican congressman who led the floor effort to impeach President Clinton,
Right.
without mentioning the fact that he was getting it on with his intern on the side or whoever she was.
That's fine.
at the
He
same
didn't
time.
lie under oath about it.
No, he didn't. You're right. And neither was he impeached about it. But he did have the good graces to leave Congress over it. But the point is that he was, the Republican congressman. He was applauded. Bob Barr comes out. I know Bob Barr. You know, I used to live in Atlanta. I've drank beer with Bob Barr, and he's been on our show a number of times. Bob Barr came out, and he's now flipped to being a libertarian.
Yes.
He's a constitutionalist. He comes out and he says, "It is absolutely wrong, John Yoo, what you did in writing those torture memos to authorize the President of the United States to violate our laws and international laws. It diminishes us as a country." And people started booing him.
Yes.
And then John Yoo goes into this whole thing about, well, we've got to be afraid of these people, and the president has to have virtually unlimited powers during a time of war, and this is a time of war, and if FDR could put the Japanese in the prison camps, then, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And people were applauding him. I mean, what's going on with these people here, Seton?
Well,
Please
remember,
explain
first
to
of all,
me.
Bob Barr's Lebanese, so there's some of that going on.
Bob Barr is maybe third-generation Lebanese.
But look, I wasn't against waterboarding because anything you can do to someone 37 times is not torture.
So you don't think that... Oh, really?
No.
So
Torture is you do it a couple times and the guy's dead.
Oh, really?
And if you want to be realistic,
So,
speaking of
can I
Mubarak-
take you down to a dungeon down here and tie you up and just like whip you every day?
No,
for
because I'm not on the
year
verge
after
of
year
blowing
after
up a
year?
building.
I'm
not on the verge of blowing
but
up
that
a
wouldn't
building.
be torture, right? That would just be what, simple assault?
It's enhanced interrogation.
Come on, Seton. Do you think that the United States then was wrong when we executed those Japanese who
that's a whole lot.
waterboarded the American POWs?
Well, that's not the only reason we executed
We
them.
executed them specifically for the waterboarding.
No, there were other things they did as well.
We executed them for the waterboarding. And during the Roosevelt administration, he executed Filipinos for waterboarding. They called it the water torture.
Well, but they also...
And he was a Republican president.
Roosevelt?
Teddy, yeah.
Oh, Ted. Well, no, he wasn't. He was a progressive jackass.
He was a Republican president.
So was George Bush. But
I don't think there's anything close to George Bush and Teddy Roosevelt.
I don't have. Well, yeah, you're right. Teddy Roosevelt's 50 times worse. But
what was bad about Teddy Roosevelt? That he broke up Standard Oil into 29 smaller companies and thus made John Rockefeller richer.
He was a progressive. I don't like progressives.
I don't like what
progressives.
Specifically about Teddy Roosevelt's progressivism did you
His
not
assault
like?
on free market capitalism was not great.
So you're fine if the country is run by just a small cabal of very rich guys?
No, but see, you have to understand economics and the free market evolution to it starts out with a couple people with money. But because they're dominating the situation, it opens up opportunities for other people to come in and compete with them. And very quickly, you go from 1 and 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8.
That worked really well in Italy and France, or Germany.
Well, no, that was crony
Spain.
capitalism. That was crony capitalism. The government was siding with certain companies, much like the president today here in the United States, siding with Google and Netflix against AT&T and Verizon.
So it worked really well in Somalia.
There is no government in Somalia.
It's your paradise. It's your libertarian paradise.
I'm not a libertarian. I'm a conservative.
It's your conservative paradise.
I want a delimited, limited, constitutionally mandated government.
Yeah, that's what they have in Somalia. They have an army, they have a police force, and that's about it.
No.
Nobody gets welfare, nobody gets food,
no.
Nobody gets food stamps.
You're putting countries in my mouth. I don't like Somalia at all.
Why not? They're very conservative.
They have pirates.
Not officially. In fact,
What do you mean? They don't have anything officially. They got nothing official. It's the Wild West.
I thought conservatives liked the Wild West. I thought that was the whole
in
thing.
America.
Ronnie Reagan, put him on a horse.
George
Bush, they would have put him on a horse if he wasn't afraid of horses.
Well, he
that's why
didn't
he
like
wouldn't
horses.
have it. No, he was afraid of them. That's why he wouldn't have even a single horse at his ranch. They said, it's a ranch. You got to have a horse. You got to at least have a photo op. And he's like, no, I'm afraid. He can't get within 20 feet of a horse. He starts shaking. George W. Bush.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe he had a bad experience as a kid.
Probably a lot of them.
People probably. The question is, does he remember them?
Yeah.
I'm not for no government. We've discussed this. I said there's 1 billion pages of regulation between where we are now and Somalia, and I'd like to get a couple 100,000, maybe a couple million of those billion pages repealed and torn away.
Do you think the government should make sure that our food is safe?
No. No.
Okay. Do you
If
think
you buy bad,
that's fine.
If you buy bad food from a company, are you going to buy bad food from that company again?
Well, if that company's operating under 20 or 30 different names, or if you're living in a poor neighborhood and that's the only thing that's available to you, yeah,
no.
probably.
But even in the poorest neighborhoods, there's multiple opportunities at a grocery store.
Do you think that our drugs should be safe?
I think
and efficacious.
Same reason.
You say no.
If they make a
if somebody makes a lousy drug.
The FDA is killed because of waiting to get the approval on drugs.
Well, do you know how many people died before there was an FDA because they were getting snake oil?
I'd pick B over A.
You'd rather have snake oil?
Well, I'd rather have the opportunity to get drugs on a much faster basis.
Seton, at least you're consistent.
Thank you, Tom.
I appreciate it. Seton Motley, lessgovernment.org is his website. It's 45 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back live from CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. Thom Hartmann here with you.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And we'll be back with your calls, 866-987-THOM. You can drop into our live chat room. Please say hi to everybody for me there. I'm here at CPAC. Can't pull it up right now. We'll be right back.